Can I eat with you?
Can
5
I
words.
eat with you?
That's all it took to shatter a millionaire's carefully built walls and change 2 lives forever. But before we get to that moment, you need to understand something. Ethan Carter hadn't cried in 15 years. Not at funerals. Not at failures. Not even when he lost everything that mattered. He'd turned his heart into stone, his emotions into spreadsheets, his life into a cold, calculated machine. Until a 12-year-old homeless girl walked into a restaurant on a rainy Saturday night and asked him the one question he couldn't ignore. What happened next left an entire restaurant in tears. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why one simple act of kindness became the most important decision of his life. And before I forget, where are you watching from today? Leave a comment below and enjoy the story. The glass shattered against the marble floor. Ethan Carter stood in his penthouse office, watching red wine spread across white tile like blood. His hand was still trembling. The investors had just pulled out. 3 years of work, gone in a conference call that lasted 8 minutes. He grabbed his coat, left the mess for someone else to clean, and walked out into the rain. The city blurred past his car windows. Expensive buildings, expensive cars, expensive lives that meant nothing when you went home to silence. Ethan was 32 and worth $47 million. He owned properties in 5 countries. He had a corner office with a view that made grown men jealous. And he was so tired, he could barely remember why any of it mattered. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. He turned it off. The restaurant appeared through the rain like a lighthouse. Small, warm, the kind of place that didn't ask questions. Ethan pulled over and ran inside, his $2,000 shoes splashing through puddles he didn't bother avoiding. "Table for 1, he said to the hostess. She led him to a corner booth, away from a few other customers scattered throughout the dining room. He ordered the most expensive thing on the menu without looking at the price. Steak, rare. Wine, red. Bread, whatever. It didn't matter. Nothing tasted like anything anymore. Outside, pressed against a rain-streaked window, a small face watched him. Lily Martinez was 12 years old and hadn't eaten in 2 days. She'd been standing outside the restaurant for 20 minutes, watching people eat food she couldn't afford to imagine. Her clothes were too thin for November. Her shoes had holes that let in the rain. Everything she owned was in a plastic grocery bag that was slowly tearing at the handles. She'd run away from her stepfather's house 6 weeks ago. He'd hit her mother. He'd hit her. When she tried to call the police, he'd locked her in the basement for 3 days. So she ran. And now she lived in doorways and under bridges, and anywhere that kept the rain off for a few hours. But tonight, watching the man in the expensive suit cut into a steak, something broke inside her chest. Not anger, not jealousy, just desperate, aching hunger that made her bones hurt. She pushed open the door. The warm air hit her like a wall. It smelled like bread and coffee, and things she used to know when life was different. Every head in the restaurant turned to look at her. Wet, dirty, obviously homeless, obviously not supposed to be there. The hostess moved toward her with a practiced smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm sorry, honey, but..." Lily walked past her, straight toward the man in the corner booth. She didn't know why. Maybe because he looked as lonely as she felt. Maybe because he hadn't looked up when she came in, which meant he might not judge her as quickly as everyone else. She stopped at his table. Ethan was cutting his steak when a shadow fell across his plate. He looked up, annoyed, ready to tell whoever it was to leave him alone. A little girl stood there, soaked to the bone, shivering, with eyes that had seen things children shouldn't see. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Lily asked, in a voice barely louder than the rain outside, "Can I eat with you?" The restaurant went silent. Forks stopped moving. Conversations died mid-sentence. Everyone waited to see what the rich man would do. Ethan's first instinct was to say no, to call the manager, to go back to his meal and his misery, and pretend he hadn't seen the way her hands shook. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way she stood there, trying to be brave. Maybe it was the way she looked at the food on his table, like it was a miracle. Maybe it was something else, something buried so deep in his chest he'd forgotten it was there. Yes, he heard himself say. Lily blinked. Really? Sit down before you freeze to death. She slid into the booth across from him, moving slowly, like she was afraid he'd change his mind. The plastic bag went on the seat beside her. She folded her hands on the table and waited. Ethan flagged down the waitress. Bring her a menu. Actually, forget the menu. Bring her whatever kids like. Burger, fries, hot chocolate, and soup, something warm. The waitress nodded, still staring at Lily with a mixture of pity and discomfort. When she left, Ethan looked at the girl across from him. Really looked. She couldn't have been more than 12. Thin in a way that spoke of weeks without proper food. Dark hair stuck to her face. Eyes too old for her age. What's your name? He asked. Lily. I'm Ethan. I know, she said. Then, seeing his surprise, she added quickly, I saw your name on your credit card when you paid. I wasn't trying to steal it or anything. I noticed things. Where are your parents, Lily? Her face closed up like a door slamming shut. I don't want to talk about that. Okay. He pushed his bread basket toward her. Eat this while we wait. She grabbed a roll and bit into it like she was afraid it might disappear. Ethan watched her chew, and something ancient and painful stirred in his memory. His little sister used to eat like that, after their father left and their mother started drinking, when they'd hide crackers under the bed because they didn't know when the next meal would come. Sarah had been 7 when she died, hit by a drunk driver while walking home from school. Ethan had been 15 and supposed to pick her up that day, but he'd stayed late to play basketball instead. 20 years later, he still couldn't forgive himself. The food arrived fast. Burger, fries, soup, hot chocolate with whipped cream. Lily stared at it like it was a feast for kings. Go ahead, Ethan said. She picked up the burger with both hands and took a bite. Then another. Then she was crying and eating at the same time, tears mixing with ketchup on her chin. Ethan looked away, giving her privacy. Around the restaurant, people whispered. Some looked angry that a homeless kid was allowed inside. Others looked sad. One woman was crying openly into her napkin. This is the best thing I've ever tasted, Lily said between bites. Thank you. Thank you so much. When did you last eat? Thursday, I think. A lady at the gas station gave me half a sandwich. It's Saturday night, Lily. I know. Ethan's jaw tightened. He'd spent $300 on wine earlier this week just because he was bored. This kid hadn't eaten in 2 days. Why aren't you in school? He asked. I can't go to school when I don't have anywhere to live. Where do you sleep? She hesitated. Wherever it's dry. Behind the dollar store sometimes. There's a spot under the highway bridge that's pretty good if the wind isn't bad. Jesus Christ. It's okay, she said quickly. I'm careful. I stay away from the bad people. I only ask nice-looking people for help like you. I don't look nice. She studied him with those 2 old eyes. You look sad. Sad people understand better. That hit him harder than it should have. He took a drink of his wine to avoid responding. Lily finished her burger and started on the fries. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you say yes? Most people tell me to go away. Ethan didn't answer right away. He watched the rain run down the window, distorting the streetlights outside. You reminded me of someone, he finally said. Who? My sister. She died a long time ago. I'm sorry, Lily said, and she meant it. He could hear it in her voice. Real sympathy despite carrying her own truckload of pain. What happened to your parents? Ethan asked, and before you shut down again, I'm not asking to judge you. I'm asking because I want to help. Lily set down her fork. My real dad left when I was 5. My mom married Gary 2 years ago. He seemed nice at first. Then he started drinking. Then he started hitting Mom. Then he started hitting me. Did you tell anyone? I tried. I called the police once. He found out and locked me in the basement for 3 days. No food, no light, just dark. When he finally let me out, he said if I ever called him again, he'd kill my mom and make me watch. Ethan felt something cold settle in his stomach. So you ran. I left a note for Mom. Told her I was sorry. Told her I loved her. Then I waited until Gary passed out drunk, and I just left. That was 6 weeks ago. Have you tried calling your mom? She doesn't have a phone anymore. Gary smashed it. Lily looked down at her plate. I think about going back sometimes, but I'm scared. And I don't know if she'd even want me there. I was just another mouth to feed, another reason for Gary to get angry. That's not true. How do you know? Because mothers love their kids, even when everything else goes wrong. Lily's eyes welled up. Then why didn't mine protect me? Ethan had no answer for that. He'd asked himself the same question about his own mother, who'd loved the bottle more than her children. Some questions didn't have good answers. The waitress came back. Can I get you anything else? Another burger. Ethan said, to go, and pack up some extra food. Whatever you think a kid would like for the next few days. Right away, sir. When she left, Lily was staring at him. You don't have to do that. I know. I don't want your pity. It's not pity, Ethan said. It's just the right thing to do. She smiled then, small and broken but real. You're nicer than you look. Don't tell anyone. It'll ruin my reputation. They sat in comfortable silence while they waited for food. Around them, the restaurant had returned to normal. People eating, people talking, people living lives that didn't include scared 12-year-olds sleeping under bridges. But Ethan couldn't stop thinking. Couldn't stop seeing his sister's face in Lily's features. Couldn't stop hearing Sarah's laugh and the way Lily thanked him for the smallest kindness. Where will you go tonight? He asked. My spot under the bridge. It's supposed to stop raining by midnight. That's not safe. It's all I have. The waitress returned with 2 bags full of food. Ethan paid the bill, left a $100 tip that made the woman's eyes go wide, and stood up. Lily grabbed her plastic bag and the food. Thank you for dinner. I'll never forget this. She turned to leave, and Ethan couldn't let her. He didn't make a conscious decision. Didn't weigh pros and cons, didn't think about logistics or consequences. He just knew with absolute certainty that if he let this child walk back into rain, back to that bridge, back to a life of cold and hunger and fear, he would never forgive himself. Not again. Not after Sarah. Lily, wait. She turned back. Ethan walked around the table and knelt down so they were eye level. His expensive suit touched the dirty floor. He didn't care. You're not going back out there, he said. Her eyes went wide. What? I can't let you sleep under a bridge. I can't let you go hungry. I can't. His voice cracked. I can't lose another little girl because I was too scared to do the right thing. But you don't even know me, Lily whispered. I know enough. I know you're brave and kind despite everything life has thrown at you. I know you deserve better than this. And I know that if I walk away right now, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Tears rolled down Lily's face. What are you saying? I'm saying you're coming with me. I'm calling child services. I'm making sure you get somewhere safe, somewhere warm, somewhere you can be a kid again instead of just surviving. They'll send me back to Gary. No, they won't. I'll make sure of it. I'll hire lawyers. I'll do whatever it takes. But you are not spending another night on the street. Do you understand? She nodded, unable to speak. Around them, the restaurant had gone silent again. People were watching openly now, tissues in hands, tears on faces. The hostess was crying. The cook had come out of the kitchen, wiping his eyes with his apron. Ethan stood up and took Lily's hand. It was small and cold and scared in his. Is this real? She asked. It's real. You promise? I promise. She dropped the plastic bag and wrapped her arms around his waist, holding on like he was the only solid thing in a world that kept falling apart. Ethan hugged her back, this small broken girl who'd wandered into his life and cracked open something he thought had died with Sarah. Thank you, she sobbed into his jacket. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't have to thank me, he said quietly. You just have to trust me. I do. I trust you. Ethan pulled out his phone and made the calls, first to child services, then to his lawyer, then to the best social worker he could find at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. He explained the situation. He gave his information. He made it clear that money was not an object and that this child needed help immediately. The restaurant owner came over. "The meal's on the house," he said, his voice thick. "And if you need anything else, anything at all, you call me." He pressed a business card into Ethan's hand. Other customers approached. One woman gave Lily her coat. Another pressed money into Ethan's palm. "For whatever she needs," the man said. An elderly couple invited them to sit with them while they waited for child services to arrive. Lily sat between Ethan and the elderly woman, eating chocolate cake someone had ordered for her, looking around in wonder at all these strangers who suddenly cared. "Why is everyone being so nice?" she asked. "Because you reminded them what's important," Ethan said. "You reminded us all." Child services arrived 40 minutes later. A tired-looking woman with kind eyes and a folder full of paperwork. She talked to Lily privately, then to Ethan, then made phone calls of her own. "We'll place her in emergency foster care tonight," she explained. "Given what she's told me about the home situation, we'll open an investigation immediately. In the meantime, she'll be safe." "I want to help," Ethan said. "Financially, legally, whatever she needs." "That's very generous, Mr. Carter. It's not generosity. It's necessity." The social worker nodded. "We'll be in touch." Lily was scared again. "Will I see you?" she asked Ethan. "Every week. I promise. I'll make sure you have everything you need. School supplies, clothes, whatever you want. I just want to be safe." "You will be. I'll make sure of it." They hugged one more time before the social worker led her away. Lily looked back at the restaurant door at Ethan, at this impossible night where a simple question had changed everything. "Can I really eat with you again sometime?" she called out. "Any time you want," Ethan called back. "Any time at all." Then she was gone, into a car that would take her somewhere warm and safe and far away from bridges and rain and men who hit children. Ethan stood in the parking lot long after the taillights disappeared. The rain had stopped. The sky was clearing. Stars were trying to break through the clouds. He'd walked into this restaurant 3 hours ago, wanting to hide from the world. He was walking out responsible for a child he'd just met. It was crazy. It was impulsive. It was completely illogical. It was the first right thing he'd done in 20 years. 6 months later, Ethan sat in the bleachers at Lincoln Middle School, watching Lily play soccer. She'd been placed with a foster family that loved her. Her mother had left Gary and was getting help. The investigation had resulted in arrests. And Lily was thriving. She waved at him from the field. He waved back. She'd gained weight. She smiled constantly. She was finally just a kid, playing and learning and living without fear. Ethan visited twice a week. He helped with homework. He paid for soccer equipment and music lessons and everything else she wanted to try. He showed up to every game, every recital, every parent-teacher conference. He couldn't give her back her childhood, but he could give her a future. After the game, Lily ran over, sweaty and happy. "Did you see my goal?" "I saw it. It was perfect. Coach says I might make travel team next year." "Of course you will." She hugged him, this routine gesture that still meant everything. "I'm glad you said yes that night." "Me too, kid. Me too." As they walked to his car, Lily slipped her hand into his, and Ethan realized something profound. He'd thought he was saving her that rainy night in the restaurant, but really she'd save him. One question, 5 words, a lifetime of difference. "Can I eat with you?" The answer had changed everything. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button, because everyone deserves someone who says yes when the world keeps saying no. And sometimes the smallest act of kindness create the biggest miracles.